Hey, hey. Hello, hello. Happiest of Fridays to you guys. Let me just check, make sure everything's okay. Hello, hello. If you're able to hop on and craft with me tonight, say hi. If you're catching this on the replay, I hope that you have a great weekend and you're finding time to get a little creativity in, some crafting in. Okay. I almost forgot what going live entails. There are so many options on the screen. Now, it's been a while and, technology is always changing. So, come on in, say hi, grab your crafty stuff. I hope you have a drink, whether that's coffee, tea, wine, pop, maybe some light music on in the background. Always mute me if you need to. But I am coming to you guys to do our June Joy Box tutorial. I hate calling it a tutorial. I'd rather call it a guide because I really am just wanting you guys to kind of take what I give you and blaze your own path. So I hate saying tutorial, but that's kind of what it is, I guess, right? And my desk is a mess, you guys. I've been busy. If you haven't seen my posts lately, I have been in the thick of it for designing files. And that has just consumed my time. Super fun, super challenging, and I hope I get better and faster at it. Let's just say that. I'm just waiting here, making sure everything's okay. Okay, I'm gonna get started. But please, as you hop on, say hi. Let me know what you're doing tonight. If you're crafting with me, if you're just watching to come visit, whatever that may be. Let me make sure I'm in the right spot. I am. Okay. So today we are doing Home of the Brave. This is the new and improved insert, which I love having more room. I just felt I was trying to fit more and more on that half sheet, and my text kept getting smaller and my eyes aren't as what they used to be. So I figured, if I'm having a hard time reading it, maybe you are too. Maybe not. Your eyes might be better than mine, but, bigger text, you can't go wrong there. So let's just talk real quickly about the new format. So at the top, this is very similar to what we had before. Number one, write your craft day on the calendar. Let everyone know you're busy and that time is valuable to you. I love saying that every month. It might get old, but I feel like we have to say it and drill it into our heads that our time is valuable, and, we just need to keep saying it, and then it becomes true. On craft day, watch the tutorial, catch me live, or you can catch it, you'll be able to catch the replay here in the group, and in the next couple days we will get the video from tonight published to the website. So it's going to take about 48 to 36 hours to get the video from the Facebook group to the website, but then you'll be able to watch it there if that's your preference. Open your box when you get it and inspect it right away. Let us know if anything's damaged or broken or missing, so that we can get a shipment out to you right away, so you're ready for crafting when you want to sit down and craft. And it's at no cost to you. And then, as always, post a picture to the group. Let's inspire one another. Let's be inspired for some crafty time. All right. Then we have our little section here. This is going to tell you everything that's on your box, or in your box, not on your box, in your box. This month we have our round base. We have the 2 stars. We have the flag cutout pieces. The word cutouts are all going to be in this frame or block, protective block. And then you have some raffia and jute. Okay. What you're going to need is paint, and you can use any colors that you choose. I'm going to use Apple Barrel's Flag Red, Admiral Blue, white, and my white is in this funky bottle right now. Black, and this is Anita's black, but Apple Barrel black is fine too. Really any black. And then a burnt umber. Where's my burnt umber? There it is. So those are our paint colors. Dark blue, a red, a white, and a black. And again, mix up the colors how you want. You're going to need a chip brush. The crustier, the better. A makeup wedge. You should only need one. Because you know me, I like to cut them up and get multiple uses out of them, but you might want more than one, depending on how you like to use them. A brush or a sponge brush, so something like this, or something like this. Something with a large surface for the background. That way we can cover a lot more ground with something like this as opposed to painting the background with something small like this. And you can paint your background with the chip brush. I had somebody ask me this the other day, and I don't know if I've ever said why I don't paint my backgrounds with chip brush. And especially once they get crusty, but the chip brush has bristles that are super thick and wiry and tough. So when you go to brush and they're kind of all, just hodgepodge, there's not a nice line, your brush strokes are going to be lined. You're going to have grooves and ridges. So if you're looking for a rough finish, then the chip brush is adequate. If you want more of a smooth finish, the bristles on a large flat like this, they're softer. You're able to brush it on and get a smoother finish with a brush like this and even this. So that is why I have these and this. I love this for distressing. I love these for painting those large surfaces. And then I think that's it for brushes. Glue. I am using a thick super glue, super fast, instant adhesive. You can use any glue that you want. There's a guide at the top of the page that is featured that talks about glue. So really anything you want to use in terms of glue, as long as it's clear drying. Super glue, Gorilla Glue, tacky glue, wood glue, craft glue. As long as it's clear drying, you're good to go. Just not a glue gun. A glue gun has that thick glue, so it's great for gluing big chunky pieces like a bow on or something where you really got odd angles to things. But when you have a smooth surface like this, you can't get a good smooth adhesion. You can't flatten it enough. Like it will raise it up off the wood. Scissors, masking tape, baby wipes, a sandpaper, a rinse cup, paper towels, and a blow dryer to help speed the process along is what you're going to need. The QR code is new. So with the QR code, I'm going to just explain it. I won't explain it every month, but because it's new this month, let me pull up my camera. So with most cameras, you can hold your, let's see if that's going to show it. Let me try and hold it up so you can see. So you can hold your camera open on that QR code and see that little yellow box floating around. Once you click on that, let's see if I can do this one-handed here. Once you click on that, it's going to take you directly to, and you can ignore that, chats is new in groups. It takes you directly to our Facebook group. So if you're new to Joybox, you'll be asked to type in your email that you used to join, and we will get you added. And once you're added, now you can scroll down and you'll find our live here. So it's just a quick way to get to the Joybox Facebook group. So that's what that is. And then your links to find the tutorials or to Facebook, just a direct link, type it in, your member login to update billing address, things like that, and then email support@redbyrddesigns.com if you have anything broken, missing, or have any questions whatsoever. So that is our new little insert, and let's get crafting. So your package is going to come with your plastic. Everything's going to be shrink wrapped to protect all the pieces. So we'll just carefully take this off using some scissors possibly if you need to. Once you get it started, it should rip right off. Okay. So I'm going to just slide my stars up here, and oh, you know what? Did I write it down? You're gonna need I didn't write it on the sheet, a paint tray, something to put your paint on. So I'm going to show you guys this box of waxed paper I got. It's 500 sheets. I got it on Amazon. It's baking paper. Something like you would see at a bakery at a grocery store. But these make great little paint trays. So I don't know if you've seen me use them in the past, but I love that. If you're looking for something easy, you don't have to clean it. Just wad it up, throw it away, and you're good to go. If you get a lot of paint, though, it will seep through. So hold on. Let me grab this. I just have this piece of plastic that I put under it, and we're good. Another option for a paint tray is, excuse me, any sort of wax paper, or what am I trying to think of? Aluminum foil. A lot of crafters love using aluminum foil because it doesn't soak through. It's that metal. And you get a big enough piece and you kind of fold it in half, just kind of like this. You fold it in half, and then you can fold it again, and you can lift your sides up to create a little bowl. And then what you can do is just let that dry and unfold it, and you've got a new surface. Let that dry, fold it. I mean, you can use it multiple times, folding it up and covering the old crusty paint, and that works too. I personally don't like it because I don't like the sound of aluminum foil. I know it's weird, but anytime a crafter's using an aluminum foil and they're tap, 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 and it's crinkle, crinkle, it just is one of those like nails on a chalkboard to me. So I don't use it, and that's why I like the wax paper better. Hello, Diana. How are you? So happy you could join us tonight. Okay, so let's talk about this block. Now, most of the time, your letters are just going to fall right out as soon as you lift up this protective block. There are tabs that help hold those pieces in. Sometimes those tabs easily break free, and like you see, most of my pieces have come out. But if they don't, if you flip it over, you can see where it might be holding on to those pieces. And for the most part, I kind of keep my hand underneath like this, and then I'll just kind of easily push them through, and they break free. If they don't break free, I set it down on my surface, and I'm going to use an X-Acto knife. You can use your nail. If you have strong nails, my nails are kind of bendy. A box cutter, anything sharp and thin. Find that little tab. There's a little tab right here, and I'm just going to press down on that with my box cutter. And that's going to break that away, and there we go. So then I've got my E here. I'm just going to find that little tab, break it just by pressing down with my X-Acto knife right on it. And I think that's good. It might just need a little assistance coming free, and there we go. And then you can toss this, or sometimes the way that this all sets up, I mean, you could use this on a scrap piece of wood, paint the back, and you kind of got that reverse art going on. There's a reason why I have a craft closet, a junk room, a junk drawer, because gosh, I can't throw anything away. I'm always thinking what I can use that for. I better hold on to it. What can I use that for? It's a curse. Okay, let's start off by taping down our little letters here. I like to tape them down in the order that I would read them, so they're right reading, and I ensure that I am painting the right side. I have painted the wrong side of many letters. If you do, it's really no big deal. You're just going to flip it over and paint the back side. So both sides will be painted. Keep it in mind when you're ready to glue, you want to just make sure that everything is dried well before gluing. So let me know what you guys think of next month's craft. And some of your, actually some of the flag pieces might be tabbed together as well, just to help keep them together in shipping. So if you're finding, like, let's say these three pieces are connected, you can just wiggle it apart like this, and if that wiggle doesn't help, again, flip it over, find that tab, and press down with something sharp on that tab. Okay. All right, so I'm going to just put my stripes, my flag aside. We're going to start with this guy. Let me pull out the original. And here we go. I just absolutely love this. I'm really quite proud of it. This is one of my first, not first, but hand drawn. I should say that. A lot of times I'll computer draw something, but this one I hand drawn and then put it into the computer, which is a little bit different process. But so this is what we're making tonight, and we've got that rustic back finish. We've got this really old rustic flag that's draped across the sign, secured with this cool star, and then drapes down the side there, and then the letters. So I'm excited to see what you guys do with it. I'm going to start with my white paint. a little bit of that out. And I'm going to start with my large flat brush. And I'm going to add some water to my brush. Wood is super porous and is going to soak up anything we put on this surface right now. So fill your brush, just don't have it dripping. If you're using a makeup or a black sponge brush, this holds a lot of water. So only dip it halfway up, let that fill up. And again, tap it on your cup. Don't let it be drippy, drippy. Now we did include the score marks for the star placement, but not the flag. Once we get the star glued down, the flags fit into the star perfectly, so we don't need to have those. We also scored the placement of Home of the Brave on the piece, so you can place your items there, similar to what I did. Remember, if you want to do something completely different with your letters, maybe you want to just leave them off, or maybe you want to just do brave or whatever it might be, the back side of this sign is completely blank and ready for your creation. So feel free to use the back side if that's what you want to do. Remember, the score marks are laser cut into that surface of the wood, so we can paint right over those without worry of covering them. It takes quite a bit of coats to cover those, so don't feel like you have to get too careful around them. I think I tested it one time and it took me 4 coats, 4 to 5 light coats, I should say. You know, if you're laying the paint on thick and heavy, it will cover it faster. It will fill in those little lines faster, but you want to do nice light coats. It dries faster. You'll get a smoother finish. It's okay if it looks blotchy. This is just kind of our base coat, our primer coat. A coat that's sealing the wood, so the next time it's not going to soak up so much. And you'll notice I didn't really take too much care in filling the star because, well, the star is going to go there. And I could have really went light in where my flag is, but I'm not sure because I don't have those score marks where my line is, so I decided just to cover it all and call it good. Now there's this little bitty section right here where the star is not going to cover, and you see that little triangle piece. Make sure to paint that there. There we go. And then I'm going to take a baby wipe because I think I got a little messy with my paint, and I'm going to clean up my edges here. Oh, no. I thought I went over. So while you're painting your pieces, if you want to paint your edges, you're more than welcome to. I prefer not to. I like the looks of the dark edges because it helps those pieces pop off. And the second reason is I'm a little bit lazy and don't want to have the hassle of painting in all of these little nooks and crannies. So if you have the patience for that and want to do it, by all means, go ahead. I do not. I am kind of a fast crafter and like to get things done quickly. And that is something that does require a lot of patience. So, all right, so we're going to let this dry and we're going to move on to painting our pieces. So I've got my makeup sponge here and I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to need a white, a red, and I guess I'll need one more. a blue and a, well, we don't really need one for the blue, but one for the black. Okay, so I've got my 3 makeup sponges here. I am going to start with painting my piece blue. So I'm doing the large star underneath the small star blue, and then let me lay this out so we can see it. It might be helpful to lay your flags out, just kind of piece them together so you see what is what. Okay, so this large piece is the blue stars of the flag. So I'm going to pull that one off, and it's got this little indent where that star is going to sit right in there. So that's your top piece. So that's going to be blue. The top star is going to be white. So I'm going to kind of make a pile here. And then let's just look at the example. There's no right or wrong. You can rearrange color, the red and white if you want, because the flag is kind of scrunched up, so we don't really see all the stripes anyways. But I'm going to start with this next stripe is going to be red. So I'm going to put my reds up on top here, then white. I'll put my whites over here on this side, and then red. Okay, and then if we're looking at this section here, I'm going to go red, white, red, white. This one's still connected, red. This little sliver's white, and then red. And then we've got the blue section. So divide up your pieces, lay them out so you can kind of see how they're going to lay together, and then divide them up. We'll start with blue. These pieces are big, so I'm going to just use a brush for this. I'm going to use my large flat. A little bit of water in my brush to help that paint flow. And when you're painting pieces, besides the base that are bigger like this, and you want to keep your edges clean, the best way to do that is to start your brush in the middle and pull it out to the edge. Don't pull from the edge in, because when you pull that in, it's going to deposit that paint wherever you've pulled it from that edge, and then you'll have a glob of paint there. So always start in the middle and pull outward. With pieces that have more edges and nooks and crannies and twists and turns, it gets a little more difficult. And in that case, if you're having a hard time keeping your edges clean and you want to keep them clean, but the piece isn't allowing you to paint it very easily, then switch to a makeup wedge. Like if this star had a center cut out and I couldn't easily pull my brush from the center without depositing a bunch of paint inside, then I would use a makeup wedge in that case. So let me know whether you're catching this on the replay or not. Comment what you have planned for the summer. Any big vacations, home improvements, yard improvements, sports. Travel. Okay. So I don't know if you've caught a couple of my lives in the past couple weeks, but I have been visiting about our plans. We are, and you might have seen my post about it, we are headed to Seattle on the train, actually next week. So I've got this flag red, and it's just a little too bright for my taste. So I'm going to take this burnt umber and put a small little drop in that red. So it looks like this. And I'm going to give that a stir and see what it looks like. I just really like a darker red. The flag red is really pretty, but my preference is just something a little darker. So if your red is super bright or more on the light side, I guess, where it almost looks a little pinky, you can add a little bit of brown to it to darken it up, and you'll get this beautiful kind of more of a rustic barn red. See how well that changed? Melanie, you can make the blue darker by adding brown to it as well. You can also add black to it. I prefer brown. It just is more of a warmer blue, whereas a black will make it more cool looking, if that makes sense. But welcome, hello, hello. Yeah, so a burnt umber or a dark brown. It doesn't have to be burnt umber. It could be any dark brown that you have. Just add a small amount to start with, mix it up, see how you like it, and go from there. Okay, so let's grab our makeup sponge here. So when you put your makeup sponge in the paint, it's gonna look super globby like this, right? It's got tons of paint on there. And when you're painting bigger pieces, that's okay. But what you really want is to have a clean, smooth makeup sponge. So I just tap it on a clean spot on my plate, and essentially I push that paint up in my makeup sponge and also got rid of a lot of excess, offloaded it. Now when I go to tap on my piece, I don't have so much paint that it's going to spill off the edge. And that's really the key there, is we don't want paint to spill off the edge and maybe fall inside, well, especially with the letters. Again, bigger pieces are a little bit different, but I try and do it the same way regardless. Sometimes if I try and get too fast and load up my makeup sponge to get my bigger pieces done, and then I forget what I'm doing, and I do the same with my letters, and all of a sudden my letters are all globby. You bet, Melanie. Yeah, experiment with those colors. You know, I prefer the burnt umber mix. I always have. Again, it's probably my rustic farmhouse nature in terms of that. The black to darken a color works just as well. It's just going to give you a different tone to it. And so that might be something that you like. You might prefer the black mix as opposed to the brown. So definitely just kind of maybe put two little spots on your paper and add the blue, and then add a black and a brown and see what happens. I do want to say one thing with mixing with black. Black is super potent. and dense in terms of color, pigment, that's the word I'm looking for, in terms of pigment. It's one of those colors that you can usually, cover something in one coat and pretty much be done because it's so pigmented. So when using it to darken something, I mean, you don't need much. It needs the smallest amount. The other thing to just keep in mind when you're dividing up your pieces, I should have said this before, but your pieces are specific in terms of the right side and the bottom side, the top side and the bottom side. So when you're dividing up your pieces, you've laid them out to see where your flag sits. When you go to divide them out between the reds and the blues and the whites, make sure that the upside is up when you move it so you don't accidentally paint the bottom. Again, if it happens, no big deal. Let it dry, paint the other side, you're good to go. I did just want to mention that though. All right, let's paint these white pieces. The other thing that's you can kind of tell too on some of it, I don't really like to use it as a fail safe, but this side is a little bit darker than this side. This is the bottom, which is a lighter color. This just has prettier wood grain, so I like to cut on that side. So if you think your piece got flipped upside down, check the color of the wood. It could be that, I don't know if you can see that, but that's significantly lighter. That's another way you can tell. If you think it got flipped upside down. So yeah, we are headed on the train to Seattle. The train takes 23 hours to travel from Glasgow, Montana to Seattle. So it's going to be an adventure to say the least. I did it when I was 20 and it was fine. I was young and, not old and cranky and stiff. So we'll see how we do this time around. My kids will probably fare just fine and I will be ready for a long nap when I get off the train. We'll see. One of the things though was that everyone had mentioned in my post when I was asking for tips and tricks, any advice, was that you can, as it gets closer to your travel date, you can bid up to get a room. And I was super excited about that. I was like, yes, that's what we need. I can maybe get a little bit of sleep. So we're, ready to go when we get off the train because we've got jam-packed activities to try and fit as much in as possible when we're over there. Well, our group is too big. We bought 8 tickets and, a room only holds 2. Well, there's a 2-person room. There's a couple different 2-people rooms. And then I think there is a 4-person room that you can get. Those ones are kind of rare and they're, anyways, they don't have very many of those. Kind of a family room, I guess. Well, so I was like, yes, maybe I'll upgrade a couple of our tickets, get a room, and we can share it. I'll go take a nap for 4 hours, then, the boys can go take a nap and, rotate out the space. No, it doesn't work that way. my group is too big. They don't allow you to upgrade a portion of your ticket. So keep that in mind if you're traveling on the train. Had it just been 2 tickets or even 4 tickets in our reservation, we could have upgraded. But because we bought them all at once, it was not possible to upgrade, which was kind of a bummer deal, but that's all right. All right, I'm going to get a little black out and paint my home of the, I did do the Brave in blue, so I'm going to leave that off to the side. I think I'm going to do that again just to make it stand out a little bit more. You could paint it white or black as well. You could paint it red if you wanted to. I thought just staining the background would be pretty. Maybe just pulling in the neutrals. So anywhere I was kind of thinking of doing something a little different, but anywhere there was white, leaving it just brown or staining it, which I thought would be super pretty. You can also pull in any silver. If you have any metallic paints, like a silver or a gold would be pretty. Okay, let's see. What am I going to do here? I need one more makeup sponge, I guess. So yeah, and then per my luck, I was summoned for jury duty in Great Falls for this whole month. So I am like on standby, I guess. And I have to call in every Thursday to see if I have to report for, jury duty the following week. So far, I haven't had to. So next Thursday, I call in, and if I have jury duty and can't go on my trip, I think I will be super sad. Obviously, they would all, go without me, and that would be tough. That would be a tough break. Oh, I forgot my little white star. I told my husband, I'm like, what are you going to do if, God forbid, I have jury duty and I can't go? I could, ask to be let go, but when I was summoned in the end of May or beginning of May, I think I got the summons. They pretty much said family vacations do not count. I mean, I will try it, obviously, if it does come down to it, but I was like, what are you gonna do? Because he's gonna have 4 boys with him. A couple friends are also following along with us, but he's like, I don't know. He's like, I don't even want to think about it. Let's not even think about it, he says. We make a good team because I do the planning and he keeps it light and fun and, is able to, we just make a good team. So it will be hard, but let's see, where are we at? All right, we're coming back to this guy. Everything's been painted the first coat. I always recommend starting out by painting everything with your first coat. Remember that first coat needs to be light, maybe a little water added to it if you're using a brush. And it's going to look splotchy and icky to start with. Every layer that we put down is going to add more detail, more solid colors going to just make it look better. So always remember that the next layer is going to add more to it. So don't fret, don't worry about it. Keep going. I'm going to start by sanding my piece. So I recommend having a sanding block. One for distressing, but two, wood is wood and does not like water or paint or any sort of liquid. And when we're painting our pieces, sometimes those pieces of fibers want to stand up after we've painted them. That water activates those fibers and they're like, so they stand up. So what was smooth before might feel rough once you put your first coat down. So if it feels rough, it's nothing you did wrong. That's just the nature of wood, the quality or the characteristic of wood. So a sanding block is really helpful to help knock those fibers down. When you're sanding it, you don't have to sand it so hard that you remove paint. It's just a nice soft sanding to smooth it back out. And that's what I'm going to do right now. There we go. So you can see I haven't taken off any paint. There was a little dust that came off, obviously, but we're good to go there. And no paint was on my sanding block. So now we can put our second coat on. A little water in my brush just to help my paint flow. I don't need nearly as much as I did that first go around, but I still like to have a little water on my brush, especially since my paint has been sitting here for, let's see, about a half hour, I guess. Acrylic paints dry super fast. And as it sits on your plate or your paint palette, whatever you're using, it will get tacky. It will start to dry out. So if it's not flowing well and you're not able to get, a good brush stroke without it catching and looking scratchy, just add a little water to your brush. Just a tiny bit. You can also have a spray bottle handy, something like a little spritzer. I have this little guy sitting on my desk and I can just spritz my white, a couple sprays, and that will help mix it up a little bit and that will help loosen it up so it's not so tacky. I didn't realize it was already, has been 48 minutes. I think my entry was quite long. I was gabbing. I haven't been live in the group in a while. So feel free to fast forward past my chit chat at the beginning. If you're catching this on the replay, I'm sure you are. Okay. Melanie, it's perfect for me. I'm slow. You're just savoring the time. You're enjoying your time. It's perfect. You're going at your perfect pace. I'm bringing back the blues. And my sanding block. They're feeling a little rough. I'm just going to smooth them out real quick. we go. We'll do our second coat here. Now most of this blue star is going to be covered, so I'm really just kind of focusing on the edges of the star. Don't really matter what the center looks like. Unless you're flipping them. You could put this, well, no, you couldn't because it wouldn't match with the flag. Never mind. Scratch that. All right, that's looking great. We've got that. I'm going to go to my reds now. We'll put a second coat on there. My son just got home from work. We'll see if he comes barreling in, needing dinner. Oh, I forgot to sand these. That's okay. I'll sand them after my second coat. He is working on a farm this summer. Fixing fences and things like that. And this is his second summer doing it. And I remember last year thinking, oh my gosh, he's going to make it 2 weeks and hate it. But surprisingly, he likes it. Nothing like a full day of hard work to keep him occupied, for sure. Did I show you guys these? These are little nail file blocks that I absolutely love with this. This is nice for a flat, but this is perfect for bits where you need to try and get around things because it's squishy. But this is just a nail file block, so keep your eye open for in the home or the beauty section for craft supplies, craft tools. It's perfect. I haven't looked at the dollar store for anything like that. I'm going to have to keep my eye out next time. I wonder if they have big blocks like this, because that would be nice. And they have the 3 different sides. So they have the rough side, which will, take more paint off. So it's more of like a 80 grit. And then they have a medium, so it's doesn't take off near as much. And then they have a super fine side, which is more like a 220 grit sandpaper for a very smooth finish. I love finding new ways to use different household items for crafting. Like the makeup wedge is perfect. What was the other thing I had in here that was, I'll have to show you. This has become So it started out as a makeup tool, but the crafter world has slowly, you know, taken over and actually made them that are, you know, the same thing as a makeup tool, but um, you can now get it in the crafting aisle, and it's probably more expensive, but who knows? You know, they see us using things that should be for makeup, and they're like, oh, we'll just repurpose those and put them in the craft aisle, but it's these things. So I don't know if you've ever seen these in the makeup store, but you know, you squirt your foundation on and then you put it on, and you can get different sizes. But these are now available in the crafting tool, or crafting aisles, but they're great for using like ink and distressing edges of paper and stuff. That's what I use them for. But it's kind of fun. Okay. Everything's painted twice. The black is good. Now we get to have some fun distressing. I'm going to blow dry this. It's still a little damp. I got this heat gun, which is supposed to be a little faster and quieter than a blow dryer. A lot of condensed heat, I guess. I mean, it worked, but I don't know if it was any faster. It's almost one of those things where you're so used to that blow dryer that if you don't hear the noise and feel the air, are you really drying faster? I don't know. It'd be interesting to do a test to see which one. I might have to do that. Okay, so I am distressing the heck out of this. I'm going to use this block. It's got a super rough edge because I really want to pull that paint off my edge here, reveal that wood. And I'm going to just go through and do all my pieces like that. So this is for nails. The only downside is I don't imagine it lasting through multiple projects. But then again, I'm pretty rough on my sandpaper, so could just be me. The blue's done. Let's do the red. Let that white dry a little bit longer. So distressing is purely optional, guys. If you want to have a bright, solid flag hanging, a brand new flag, then by all means skip this step and go straight to gluing everything down. I try to tell myself that not everything has to be distressed, but it's just what I like. I love doing it. I love the look of it. It's like me trying to paint with colors I don't really like. Every once in a while, when we put out new DIY kits, I'll paint it as an example, you know, and I'll do a little tutorial so people have an idea on how to finish the kits. And every once in a while, I'll paint with a color that is not me. You know, I like blue and dark brown stain and, you know, things like that. And while it's fine, it definitely doesn't go on my shelf and I don't decorate with it. It is kind of fun to do something different every once in a while. Because how would you learn new techniques and new styles if you didn't, right? Anyways, I think we were doing a bunch of, what was it? Valentine's stuff. And I don't usually paint with pink. So pink's a hard color for me. I don't really, you know, I don't decorate with it. I don't, you know, typically paint with it. It's not my color choice. So that was hard, but I found out that I actually like, whoops, there goes my letters. I'll have to pick them up. I actually liked it. And I ended up like doing a whole collection with this pink color. Who knew? It was like a pink and a light brown color. It was really pretty, actually. All right, let me grab my pieces here. So I guess what I'm saying is do what you like, but also every once in a while, step outside your comfort zone. All right, guys, so I'm going to bring back this example here. I have lots of distressing underneath. This is, I did a lot of browns and things around my edge of my wood and around all my pieces. So I'm going to start by distressing around the edge of my base, and then I will glue everything down and then distress. Did I do that? No, I distressed my pieces too and then glued everything down. So you can distress a couple different ways. One of the ways is using a baby wipe, and I'm going to wrap that around my finger, and I'm going to grab just a little tiniest bit of brown on my finger. Baby wipes work really great because they're wet. If you don't have a baby wipe, you can use like a rag that's damp. Just make sure that it is wet for this method to work. So I like to think about it's like flooding the area. It's a kind of a stain on top of paint, I guess. But I'm going to just take my finger and wipe it all along that edge. And it creates kind of a soft, almost glowy brown around that edge. And then I go back and most of the paint is gone, but now I'm just softening that up. Just going back over that line that I just deposited and pushing it around. You can also get a new piece wrapped around your finger, a clean bit, and pull up that paint if it got a little too heavy. But we're just going to go back around, softening that brown up making it just a little wider, bringing it into the center just a little bit to get that soft, kind of a brown glow look on the edge. Okay, so that's one way. So I'm going to go and just do that on my pieces here real quick. On these darker colors, you'll notice that I'm not taking a lot of care in going back and softening that edge like I did with the white base. I'm not going back over it and smoothing it out. Because these colors are dark, that dark brown isn't as hard as it is on the white. And I did get a little too much there, so I'm just going to soften it up a little bit, pull it up a little bit. It also it makes it look like it's got a little bit of a shadow. These littler ones, I don't do too much with them. I just kind of pull my baby wipe along the edge and that's it. I don't get too crazy with those. Just a little color here and there. Just a little bit of that brown. Kind of also acts as creating a little bit of a shadow. So we kind of get a 3D effect, like it's a rumpled flag. We'll go and do the white stripes. And again, this is where I will take a little more care in adding that brown to my white. I don't want it to be too dark and overpowering. And I get a little crazy on this star here. So I kind of got a little crazy on my star there. I'm going to grab a clean piece and just give it a gentle scrub and pull up a lot of that brown that I deposited and clean it up. Baby wipes work magic, guys. All right, now I'm going to take my chip brush and I'm going to dip it in my brown paint, and I've got kind of a glob sitting there. I'm going to find a clean spot and just push that paint around so it gets on all my bristles, and also offload a lot of that paint. I don't need all of that to create this distressing. And then I hold it on the edge and just feather it back and forth on those edges. This is going to give me, on top of that glowy brown that we just did, this gives us that scratchy dirt look. Like there's still bits of dirt kind of deposited on this sign that hasn't been wiped away. You can see that scratchy area there. Start light. If you're new to distressing, start small and build your way up. I think the biggest thing that I see people do is they end up with too much paint on their brush, and then all of a sudden they have a really heavy streak, and they're like, let me see if I can show you. So let's say I get paint on my brush, and they kind of do this, and they're like, but this is totally fixable. Grab your baby wipe, and we're just gonna pick it up. And now it just looks like that soft glowy bit that we did earlier. Totally okay. We're gonna come back, offload that brush, and we can come back over the top of that and scrape that in. So everything's fixable with paint. That's what I love about it. All right. I'm just going to do the stars here real quick with my scratchy chip brush to give them that scrapey bit. And then also this guy. And then I'm going to glue everything down and distress it just a little more once it's all together. Just to pull in some areas of shadow, and distress it while it's together will help tie those distress marks together so it doesn't look separate. So are to the point where we can start gluing things down. When you're ready to glue, make sure that everything is dry. If it is the least bit damp in any way, your glue will not have a good adhesion and it will pop off in time. A tip that I like to give is if it feels cool to the touch, that means it's damp. So you might be able to touch your piece without paint coming away from your hand, but if you touch it and it's cool, that means it's damp. That means the paint underneath is still wet. So take a blow dryer after it and zap it a little bit longer and let it dry. All right, so because this star is hanging off the edge, I put a drop of glue in all my little bits and then, or all my points, and then in the center here. And then I'm gonna just put my star right on top here and line it up with that, those score marks. Once I got it in place, we can hold. You can use something heavy to hold it for you so you can move on, which I am going to do. Let me grab my handy weight. And I'm just going to pull that off to the side there and let that sit like that. Okay. Then the next thing I want to do is I'm going to lay out my little puzzle here and get all my pieces in order before I start gluing them down. One thing to note is your flag does sit over the edge here. This is not going to line up with the edge of your wood. I wanted it to look like it was wrapping around the back and bunched up here. So don't try and line that up. You're going to line your blue star up with this large star, and then your flag pieces will fit right under that. From that point on, they're going to stack. So we're going to go red here, then we've got this white that sits there, and then the last red piece here. Okay. All right. Now, when you're lining up your flag here, I am starting with the piece that has the point here. It's the only one that's got this almost perfect pointed top here. That's going to sit right in the center of where your two legs of your star are. So I'm going to put that up into that center there. And I think I can take this off now and get it out of the way so we can see that properly. So that's going to sit up in there. And then we can build from that. So the next piece is going to be a white piece, which is kind of a skinny piece. Refer to your picture if you need help. And then a red piece, another skinny red piece. Okay. And then we have a large white piece next. A large red piece. And then our little sliver is going to sit kind of inside this little lip here. This is that little sliver. It's kind of folded up, that flag is. And that's going to sit right up in that last little bit there. So that's how it should look. Lay it out, glue your big star down, and then lay out your flag pieces so that when you're ready to glue, you know which piece goes where. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up my blue to start with, and I'm going to put a couple drops down on the back. If you're using a super glue, you only need a couple drops. It's super strong, which means you only need a small amount. If you're using, let's say like maybe a tacky glue or an all-purpose glue, you might want to use a little bit more and smooth it out over that entire surface to get good coverage. Okay, so I'm going to get my weight here and get that set down. And then I'm going to just slide my pieces down. I'm not going to pick them up. I want them right where I can easily grab them for gluing. I'm going to grab the next one in the stack. And we'll go right under that blue, slide it up in there, press. Sometimes when you are painting these long, skinny pieces of wood, the amount of water or the paint, and it could just be the wood piece itself, it might kind of bow or flex a little bit. The glue, once you get to the glue stage, that will help hold that down. It will reform it. So if you're using something other than a super glue, let's say a tacky glue, an all-purpose glue, and you put your glue down and you set it and all of a sudden maybe it pops up on the ends or maybe the middle pops up, you just need to hold it there until that glue has time to cure a little bit. So that's where these weights come in handy. You can use an old book, a heavy can of food, but you just need to give your glue time to work is all, and it will sit and be flat for you. Okay, so we've got that, and now what for this one, I want to glue this middle piece that goes into the center of this star here first. So I'm going to pull my side flag pieces away just a little bit so I can access this. And then we're going to get our glue, couple drops. Now, part of your flag is going to hang off the end. It does hang off this end. So be mindful of not getting too much glue on the very end there, especially for the pieces on the left side of this center one, or our base, I should say. Okay. we go. Okay, and I'm going to do the other side of that center. Again, being mindful of not getting any glue on that very end, because now we are going to start hanging off this edge. So we'll put that up there. And as you're gluing, if your pieces kind of adjust or move around just a little bit and you're finding that you're seeing small little gaps between your flag pieces, that's okay. It just makes it look like, you know, the flag has been folded and you're seeing a fold gap. You know, when pieces of fabric fold together, I've got way too much glue right there. I'm going to wipe that off real quick. When you have pieces of fabric that fold, you see a small little gap there, and if that happens, that's okay. It just makes it more realistic. Okay, so I am going to, this little piece, like I said, sits kind of inside this little folded red piece, right? So I am actually going to put the red piece in, because I don't know where this ends and starts here on the side. I need that last piece as a guide. So I'm going to put my glue here, again, just on this top section. A lot of this is hanging off. And because these two touch and it does come right up to the star there, I can slide that in and I have that gap. Now before that dries though, I do want to make sure to get this smaller piece in. And because it doesn't have a lot of purchase, I'm going to actually put a little bit of glue on the side there. So I've got it on the side and on the bottom. And then I'm just going to slide that little sliver right in. Again, move quickly before this one's set, so you have just a little bit of play to help slide that in. And there we go. Dropped a little bit of glue on my red here. I had to cut the tip of my bottle because it had glued shut, and now I have this huge opening on my glue, which makes it a little difficult to get small little drops. Okay, so now we can go and put the rest of our pieces on. And just eyeball the center of that one. And then I am going to get my letters peeled away from my tape. When you're peeling the tape away from your letters, because they are delicate, I recommend putting your letters upside down like this. You can put it on a surface like this if that's helpful too. And then hold it and slowly peel away that tape at an angle. Don't go straight up, because that will, you can kind of see my letters flex a little bit when I pull straight up, as opposed to if I pull away like this, it helps protect the delicate pieces. When you're gluing your letters, you do not need to have glue on all the back side. I focus on putting a drop of glue just where I have a thick part, and I try and catch the ends, and then a thick part throughout, and that's it. Just a small little dollop of glue. And then we will get this on here. You know you've got it right if you don't see any of those score marks. They should be exactly the same size as that brave, so that you shouldn't see any of it, and you know it's perfect. Okay, we're going to take these off, and I like to just get them in place before I glue them, just to do a test run. This helps also make sure that I've got all the right sides painted. Some of these letters can be tricky, such as H's, and the M can be a little tricky as well. Okay. Another idea that somebody shared with me for gluing these small letters was to create a little area on your palette. And obviously only if it's a palette you're going to throw away, like your paint palette. Create, and this works not so much with super glue, but like a tacky glue or wood glue or craft glue. You create a little pool of glue, and what you do is you take your little piece and you tap it into the glue, and now you've got glue on all the pieces. If you do try that, make sure that your little pool of glue, I guess, is not a deep pool. It's a shallow wading pool, because you don't want to have tons of glue on your pieces when you go to dip them in that pool. That makes sense. We might have to do an example maybe someday. You can also use tweezers to help with these smaller pieces. They make some really great crafting tweezers, and I think I actually have them. I think I've been wanting to show you guys those for quite some time, and I never have them here, but check these out real quick. I know I'm getting off topic here, but these are Friskers, and you can, hold them like this on your finger, but they're always closed. And to open them, you squeeze them. So they will just constantly hold your piece. So it's not like a normal tweezers where you're squeezing it to hold it, and then your fingers give out and then you drop your piece. But these are really handy. So they're always closed tweezers. I think I've talked about them before in the past, and they've always been at my other desk. But those are really handy for small pieces too. Okay. Almost there. One more letter, guys. And sometimes when you have too much glue, sometimes your letters like to just shift around. So keep an eye on that. Okay. So I think I'm going to leave it as is. With this one, I did a lot more distressing. I added a lot more color in all my nooks and crannies, but I kind of like this clean look. I might add just a little bit right in here. Let me grab my chip brush. See, I can't just leave well enough alone. So a small amount of paint in there, guys, and I'm just going to drag that right in those crevices to give me the look of some dirty dirt. And get under here. Okay. And there we go. Maybe up here on the top too. Just a small amount. It's very, very subtle. More so in that crevice, and then I just pulled that paint out and around. Okay. All right. And then I just wanted to show you something real quick. So I don't know if you've ever dropped a dollop of glue on something and all of a sudden it dries and you kind of get this shiny little area right here. If that's the case, if you weren't able to, you wipe it away and you think you're good, just go over it with the makeup sponge that you have. And I'm just going to drag that color right over the top of it. and push that to the back. And you can even take your finger and soften the edges a little bit, and voila, it's gone. So if you ever find yourself with a glue drop on your color, that's how you fix that. Okay, so last thing is adding some stars and adding our bow or raffia. So with the stars on the back, you can do it a variety of different ways. You can not have any stars. I think it looks great without. If you had a star stencil, you could do that. If you wanted to, paint little X's there to show a messy star, you could do that, or plus signs. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the back of my large brush as a dotter. So I've got a little bit of paint there, and I'm just going to tap it. Oh, I need a little more. I tap it on my piece. And I'm just going to try and stay random with it. Remember, this flag is kind of draped and folded, so there should not be any sort of pattern that we see in terms of what our stars look like and where they're positioned. And when you're using the back of a paintbrush to create polka dots, the bigger the brush handle, the bigger the polka dot. The smaller the brush, the smaller the polka dot. There we go. Done on that. All right. Last step then is to add the bow. So for this example, I added the raffia. I went the 3 strips of raffia, the brown, the red, and I taped my edges so I could get them through the hole. But I put them both, I put one tail in one side and another tail in that, bringing it to the front. That way this stays clean. And then I tied it at the top and just did this. So I had this funky little burst where it hangs. Okay. You can also go the other way. I can pull this back, and now my burst is right at the top of my sign. However you want to do it. You can use all of it. You can use just portions of it. But that is how I did that. And in this example, I'm going to do something just a little different. I'm going to take just the jute. So you can just do jute and be done with it. You don't even need to use this. Use it for another project. But I'm going to come up through the back with one tail. I'm going to get my other tail, come up from the back, and tie it. So I'm taking my 2 ends together, wrapping it around my finger, bringing those tails up through that loop, and giving it a knot. Okay. And that's a pretty long knot. I'll probably shorten that. But you can make this as long or as short as you need it for hanging. So you can hang it this way, and then you have a clean front here. Now the other thing you can do is leave that as is, and then take the raffia, and it's all pretty solid. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to use the brown in this example, and I'm going to cut it in 4s. So I folded it up. Let me do that again. Sorry. I got my ends and I folded it in half. Ooh, and I'm going to crease that and I'll cut it in half there. Now we've got 2 pieces the same length. I'm going to fold it in half, those 2 pieces, bringing my ends together, finding that center, and I'm going to cut it there. So now I have 4 pieces. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to come and tie that around just one side of my string here. Just do a quick little tie here. Okay, and then that can slide down your jute there. I'm going to pull that as tight as I can. Okay. Now the fun thing about this raffia is you can make it look as clean or as messy as you want. So this is full pieces of raffia. What you can do is open these up and tear them to create these stringy, fun little pieces of raffia that just make it look a little more old and rustic. This paper's been around forever type thing. And again, you can add all the colors into this little burst this way. The other thing that I discovered, I think it was last year actually, is you can paint raffia. So if you wanted to darken your raffia, maybe you wanted this to be a dark brown, or the red is kind of a brighter red, depending on how you paint your piece, you can make your raffia match that. You just lay it out on maybe some old paper and use your brush and brush it on. You might be able to even use a baby wipe method too and just kind of ruin it between your fingers. But anyways, that is all tore up and I love the look of that. And you can kind of just scrunch it. And there we go. That is another way to use your raffia and create this little burst explosion of ribbon. And there we go. That is our finished June box, June Joy box. So I hope you enjoyed this craft. I hope you're finding time to get your creative time in. Hope you're finding time to get creative time in. Seems like I'm saying that word a lot, but what other better words? Your creative therapy, and that's what I want to say. Make time for yourself, guys. Make it a priority, but also have grace with yourself. Don't beat yourself up if you're not able to do it right away. Life gets busy too. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this craft, and I look forward to crafting with you next month. Have a great evening. Bye.